Okay. So transport system, the blood circulatory system. So the blood circulatory system consists of heart, arteries, veins, and blood. Okay. So heart, arteries, blood, and heart, arteries, veins, and blood make up the blood circulatory system. So why do we need a transport system? What is the use of transport system? So the use of transport system is to transport the different molecules of nutrients, oxygen, waste material throughout our body in the dissolved form in the blood plasma. The liquid part of the blood is called plasma. So whatever you are eating after digestion, those tiny soluble molecules will release in the blood plasma and they will dissolve in the blood plasma. Similarly, oxygen is dissolved in the blood plasma, and these oxygen and nutrients in the dissolved form in the blood plasma circulate throughout the body, and when they reach beside the cells, they will diffuse from blood plasma to the cells. Similarly, inside the cells, whatever the metabolic wastes are produced, those metabolic wastes are released, diffuse out from the cells into the blood plasma, and they will be, reaching to the concerned excretory organs for the removal purpose. So blood circulatory system is necessary for the transport of the molecules throughout our body. Now, why microscopic organisms do not need a blood circulatory system? Why they do not need a transport system? Because they are microscopic in nature, and we have learned that those who are microscopic in nature, they have got a very large surface area to volume ratio, which we have done in the previous class. So tiny microscopic cells have got a very large surface area to volume ratio. So in case of the microscopic organisms, molecules can easily diffuse in and diffuse out. They do not need a system for that. But if you will think about the large organisms like human beings, we have got a big size. So our surface area to volume ratio has reduced a lot. So the diffusion from outside, from environment to inside your body will be very slow or impossible. So we cannot take the things from surrounding into our body by simple diffusion. So we need a blood circulatory system. We will eat the things will release in the blood. We will take in oxygen, the oxygen will release in the blood, and then the blood will take these molecules just beside the cells which are microscopic. So our cells have got a very large surface area. So from the blood to the cells, diffusion can easily happen, but not from surrounding to the inside of the body. Clear this idea, Hiba?
Yes.
Acha. How is our structure of our heart? Heart is a pump, and heart is pumping the blood throughout our body. So you can see our heart is, vertically, our heart is divided into two parts like this. There is a wall, muscular wall, right in the middle of the heart. So this muscular wall right in the middle of the heart is called a septum. This is the septum. Okay, we are calling it septum. So what septum does? Septum is a muscular wall which is dividing our heart into two parts. What two parts? Heart is being divided, the left part and the right part. So when you are writing on a piece of paper, your right hand is the left part of the heart and your left hand is the right part of the heart. The thing will become, it will be flipped. When you are writing, your right hand is the left part of your heart and your left hand is the right part of the heart. So the heart is divided into left and right part. Now, the right part of the heart and the left part of the heart. Why it is necessary to divide the heart into left and the right part? Because in our two parts of the heart, two different types of the blood will be flowing. In the right part of the heart, this blood is the deoxygenated blood. The blood which is rich in carbon dioxide. Whereas in the left part of the heart, there is oxygenated blood, which is rich in oxygen. That's why there is a septum right in the middle, so that these two blood streams do not mix up with each other. They have to flow separately. And they have to flow separately, and they have to flow at two different blood pressures. I will tell you how two different types of the blood pressures will be generated. Now, in between the, right in the middle of the right part of the heart, you can see over here, there is a valve, this one. Valves are the lid-like structure. They are the doors. The door will open, the blood flows down, the door will close, so that the blood may not go in the reverse direction. So this valve, which is there in the right part of the heart, right in the middle of the right part of the heart, is called tricuspid valve. Tri means three. So there are three flaps, one on the top of the other. Three flaps are there. Whereas in the left part of the heart, this valve, this door in the left part of the heart is called mitral valve, or you can also call it a bicuspid valve. Mitral valve or bicuspid valve. All right, so what is the meaning of bi? Bi means two. So there are two flaps over here. Okay, there are two flaps, two lids, or you can say three doors, two doors. So bicuspid valve and tricuspid valve. There is a reason behind it. We will discuss the reason later. Now, because of these valves, the heart is divided into, right side is divided into two parts, the left side is divided into two parts because of these valves. Okay, so the upper two chambers of the heart, this one and this one, they are called atria. So this one in the right side is the right atrium, in the left side is the left atrium, and the lower two parts are called ventricles. So in the right side, this is right ventricle, in the left part, this is left ventricle. Now you can see one more thing. It is not as clearly visible over here, but the right side of the heart, first of all, our heart is made up of very thick cardiac muscles. All right, heart is made up of very thick cardiac muscles. So this side of the heart, the right side of the heart, is more thicker. The left side of the heart is comparatively thinner. Why? What is the reason behind it? The reason is that the right part of the heart, which contains deoxygenated blood, it will pump the deoxygenated blood to our lungs. It will pump the deoxygenated blood to our lungs so that the blood can get rid of carbon dioxide and can pick up oxygen. But the lungs are very delicate. So the blood has to be pumped very gently at a low pressure. How the blood will be pumped very gently at a low pressure? Because the muscles in the right part of the heart are very thick. Sorry, I made a mistake. The muscles in the right part of the heart are thinner and the left part of the heart is thicker. So the thin muscles can squeeze the blood gently. Another way of generating a low pressure is tricuspid valve. There are three flaps over here. So one by one, when the three flaps will open, one flap will open, the blood comes down, this flap closes. Then another one will open, the blood comes down, then it closes. So in this way, when the three flaps one by one open and close, the pressure of the blood, the speed of the blood decreases. So how a low pressure is generated from the right part of the heart so that our lungs can remain protected, because the right part of the heart is serving only the lungs. Sorry. So how it is happening? Because the right side of the heart has thin muscles, so they squeeze the blood gently. The right side of the heart has tricuspid valve. So one by one, when the three flaps will open and close, the speed of the blood, the pressure of the blood automatically decreases. Whereas the left part of the heart, which contains oxygenated blood, it has to pump the blood to the whole body, head to toe, just in the blink of an eye. Head to toe, the blood has to reach at a very high pressure. If the high pressure will not be there, the blood will take time to reach from head to toe, and we will not be able to wait for such a long time to get the nutrients and oxygen. So the left part of the heart has to pump the blood at a very high pressure. How a high pressure is created over here? A high pressure is created because the left part of the heart has thick muscles. So they can squeeze the blood with a pressure. Plus bicuspid valve. There are only two doors, two flaps. So they open, let the blood go out, and they close. So bicuspid valve offers less resistance to the flow of the blood. So because of the bicuspid valve and the thick muscular walls in the left hand side, the left part of the heart pumps the blood at a very high pressure. Whereas the right side of the heart pumps the blood at a very low pressure, because the lungs have to be protected. So how it is possible? The right side of the heart has thin muscles. So they squeeze the blood gently, and tricuspid valves, which offer more resistance to the flow of the blood. This type of the circulatory system, in which the heart is divided into two parts, two different types of the blood are flowing side by side. Oxygenated and deoxygenated blood do not mix up with each other. Two different blood pressures are maintained. Such type of the circulatory system, advanced circulatory system, in case of the mammals, in case of the human beings, is called double circulatory system. Why double circulatory system? Because our heart is a double pump. It is the left side is one pump, the right side is one pump, and they are working independently, generating two different blood pressures, pumping two different type of the bloods, etc., etc. What is the shape of the heart? The shape of the heart is slightly triangular. So this is called conical shape. The shape of the heart is conical, and for protection, our heart is surrounded by a very thin membrane. Just like in order to protect our books and copies, we cover the books and copies with a cover. Similarly, in order to protect the heart, there is a covering all over it, which is called pericardium. Pericardium. So in between the pericardium and the wall of the heart, this is the pericardium. So in between pericardium and the heart, there is a fluid. There is a fluid over here. There is a fluid. So this fluid is called pericardiac fluid. So pericardiac fluid reduces the friction when the heart is throbbing, when the heart is pumping the blood. So it is touching the pericardium. It is touching the pericardium. So in order to reduce the friction, there is a fluid inside our, in between the heart and the pericardium. And then you can see over here, the blood vessels are arising, emerging out of the heart. This blue color blood vessel, this red color blood vessel. So we will discuss the blood vessel thing later when we will do the blood circulation part. Now see, this is the structure of the heart. All the details, whatever I have explained to you, all the details are here. All right, everything is here.
Okay.
You will read from here. Now, blood circulation part. So we will see the blood circulation part now. Now look at this. So what is the blood circulation part? You can see this is our heart. The blue color part is the deoxygenated blood, and the red color is the oxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood has to go to the lungs. So in our heart, this right atrium will contract. Due to the pressure of the blood, the tricuspid valve will open. The blood flows down. The tricuspid valve close again, so that the blood may not go in the reverse direction. Then The blood is, the ventricle, the right ventricle is full of blood. Now the right ventricle is going to contract. And the blood is going now like this into the lungs, both the lungs. So this blood vessel, which is taking the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle to our lungs, is called pulmonary artery. So this one is the, anything which is related with our lungs is called pulmonary. So this is the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. So what is pulmonary artery? It is the blood vessel which takes the deoxygenated blood from the left ventricle to the lungs. So what will happen in the lungs? Gaseous exchange. Oxygen from the alveoli diffuses into the blood. Carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses into the lungs. So when carbon dioxide from the blood diffuses into the lungs, we exhale it out. When oxygen from the alveoli diffuses into the blood will take this oxygen. The hemoglobin will take this oxygen, and now this blood is coming to the left atrium. So this blood vessel, which is taking the blood from the lungs to the left atrium, since it is also connected with the lungs, so we are going to call it pulmonary vein, pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. So arteries are actually those blood vessels which takes the blood away from the heart. So see, this pulmonary artery is taking the blood away from the heart to the lungs. And the veins are those blood vessels which bring the blood back to the heart. So see, the blood is coming back to the heart. Now, the right atrium has received the oxygenated blood. So the right atrium will contract. The bicuspid valve opens. Blood flows down. Bicuspid valve closes. Now, the left ventricle contracts. And now the blood is going to the whole body, downward and upward, in our neck, in our face, in our brain. The oxygenated blood is flowing. Then in our shoulders, in our hands, then in our digestive system, then in our kidneys, in our liver, in our reproductive organs, in our back, in our legs. Just in one contraction of the left ventricle, in no time the blood will go throughout the body. This good blood, oxygenated blood is going. So what will happen in the body? What will happen in the body? In the body, oxygen is given to the cells and tissues. Oxygen is given to all the cells and tissues, and the blood is going to pick up carbon dioxide. So now you can see oxygen is been given to the cells and carbon dioxide is being picked up. Now this blood has once again become deoxygenated. So from the entire body, the blood is returning back to the right atrium, not only from the lower part, but from the shoulders, from the neck, from the face, from the head, from everywhere. The deoxygenated blood is coming because it has picked up carbon dioxide. So this blood vessel, which is pouring the deoxygenated blood into the right atrium, this blood vessel is called vena cava. Vena cava.
Okay.
Vena cava. And this blood vessel which is taking the good blood, this blood vessel which is taking the good blood from the left ventricle to the entire body. So this main blood vessel is called aorta. All right, it is called aorta. So what different blood vessels we have seen? Pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, then aorta and vena cava. Did you understand this idea? Now,
Yes.
Pulmonary artery is taking the deoxygenated blood to the lungs at a low pressure. Why? Because you can see now it is clearly visible. This right side of the heart has thin muscles, so they squeeze the blood gently, and the tricuspid valve offer more resistance to the flow of the blood. So the blood slows down and reaches very gently to the lungs. Now, the blood will come back to the good blood is coming back to the heart. And now the left ventricle has to pump the blood to the whole body at a very high pressure. So you can see the muscles in the left part of the heart are very thick and there is a bicuspid valve. Bicuspid valve offers less resistance to the flow of the blood, and the thick muscles squeeze the blood at a very high pressure. So in no time, the entire body, just in one contraction of the ventricle, left ventricle, the whole body will get the oxygenated blood. Oxygen is unloaded, carbon dioxide is loaded, and the poor blood is coming back to the heart, and this cycle will continue. This cycle will continue like that. Did you understand this thing?
Yes.
Sure. So this is the entire thing about the blood circulation. So you will read from here, blood circulation part. What is a double circulatory system? I have already explained you the double circulatory system. And now the blood vessels, arteries and veins. What are arteries and veins? What is the difference in between arteries and veins? So arteries takes the blood away from the heart, and veins are the blood vessels which are bringing the blood back to the heart. So there are two different type of the blood vessels, arteries and veins, and the tiny branches of arteries and veins are called capillaries. So you can see over here arteries, veins, and capillaries. So our capillaries are so small, so thin and so small, these capillaries. All right, these capillaries that they can fit in between the cells. They can fit in between the cells and tissues like this. They are so thin. So actually they are coming out from the big blood vessel, arteries and veins. So arteries take the blood away from the heart, veins take the blood back to the heart. Arteries carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery, because it is taking the blood away from the heart, deoxygenated blood to the lungs. That's why we are compelled to call it an artery. Otherwise, rest all the arteries in our body are containing oxygenated blood. Similarly, veins, all the veins carry deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein, because it is bringing oxygenated blood from the lungs back to the heart. That's why we are compelled to call it a vein. Sure. Okay, now stop sharing this, showing more differences in between arteries and veins. All right, just give me 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, so arteries, veins, capillaries. So suppose this is an artery. And this is the vein. So the differences I'm telling you, you will watch the class recording and then you will write down the differences. Okay, this is vein.
Okay.
And this is the capillary. Okay, so you can see arteries have got thick walls. Veins have got very thin walls. Plus, the inner diameter of the empty space. This inner diameter of the empty space, it is called lumen. This is called lumen. So veins have got a big lumen and arteries have got a small lumen. Why? Because arteries are more thick walled, veins are thin walled. So arteries inner diameter of the inner empty space is small. All right, and the veins have got big. Then arteries are more elastic, stretchable. Veins are less elastic, less stretchable. Okay. You can see there are no valves in the arteries, but there are valves in the veins. Why? Because the veins will take the blood back to the heart. So there are chances that the blood can flow in the reverse direction. So the valves are given over here. The valves will open, the blood will flow, the valves will close so that the blood may not go in the reverse direction. All right. So
Miss, can you
arteries have.
give me a minute? I'll be back.
Sure.
Back, Miss.
Okay. So arteries are thick walls, veins are thin walled. Arteries have a small lumen, veins have big lumen. Arteries are more elastic, veins are less elastic. Arteries have no valves, veins have valves. Arteries carry oxygenated blood. Veins carry deoxygenated blood. Arteries carry the blood away from the heart. Veins carry the blood back to the heart. On the other hand, the capillaries are very thin and made up of one-celled thin wall. They are one-celled thin and they can fit in between the cells. And they are the tiny branches of arteries and veins. So they can fit in between the cells. Clear this idea, Hiba?
Yes.
Okay, now we are left with composition of blood. Composition of blood. All right. So now let's start. What are the general functions of blood? Quickly, let's finish as long as we have time. General functions of the blood. Can you guess what are the general functions of the blood? What this blood is doing? We have got 10 minutes, so let's finish it in 10 minutes. So the general function of blood, when you will see the class recording, take it in your, write it in your copy. Number one, transport oxygen throughout the body. Okay. Transport nutrients throughout the body. Transport waste materials. All right. Transport waste materials. Transport hormones. Transport heat. The heat is generated inside the cells. So that heat is released in the blood and the blood takes this heat throughout the body. That's why the blood is warm and we have got a body temperature for the blood. For the presence of the blood, our body is warm because it is circulating heat throughout the body. And then it fights against the infections. It fights against the infections because it has got white blood cells. So the white blood cells fight against the infections. So these are the 6 general functions of the blood: transport oxygen throughout the body, transport nutrients throughout the body, transport waste materials, transport hormones, transport heat, and fight against the infections. So you will write down these notes in your copy because it is not there in the slide. All right, now
All right.
let's start. What are the different components of the blood? All right, what are the different components of the blood? So first of all, what is the liquid part of the blood? The liquid part of the blood is called plasma. So you have to start writing the note from the composition of the blood, okay? So the blood plasma, it is a yellowish color liquid, mostly water, salts, and proteins. Mostly salt, water, and proteins. Mostly water because it is liquid in nature, and liquid is because it has water in it. And all the nutrients, oxygen, hormones, waste materials, everything is dissolved in blood plasma. Everything is dissolved in blood plasma. So blood plasma is actually a medium for the transportation of different molecules throughout the body. It is acting as a medium. All right. So what other things we have in our blood? So we have different type of the cells. Red blood cells. Red blood cells or the biological name is erythrocytes. Red blood cells or erythrocytes.
Okay.
So how they look like? They are rounded with the middle portion slightly compressed. It is not a hole in the middle, rather the middle part is slightly compressed and the sides are swollen. So if you see the side view, if you will look at the side view of the red blood cell is something like this. The middle part is compressed and the edges are swollen. This shape is called biconcave shape. Biconcave shape. What are some properties of red blood cells? They do not have any nucleus. Then how you can call them cell? How they are alive? They are actually not the cells. They are the small packets of hemoglobin. They are the small packets of hemoglobin. What is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is a red color substance in the red blood cells. So the red blood cells are red in color because they have got the red blood cells hemoglobin. So why they do not have any nucleus in them? So that they can hold a large amount of hemoglobin so that the space can be created. Otherwise, nucleus would have taken the space. They do not have any nucleus in them so that they can have got large space to hold large amount of hemoglobin. And the function of the hemoglobin is to pick up the oxygen. It absorbs oxygen.
Okay.
So when the blood comes to the lungs, when the blood is coming to the lungs, from the right ventricle, the blood is going to the lungs. That time what will happen? Oxygen from the lungs diffuses into the red blood cells because hemoglobin is pulling this oxygen in it. Hemoglobin is pulling the oxygen in it. So when oxygen goes inside the red blood cell, this oxygen combines with hemoglobin and it forms a compound, an unstable compound, which is called oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin. Now, the blood is going to the whole body. So actually, oxyhemoglobin in the red blood cell is going to the whole body. Now, this is one of our cells. And the red blood cells are very tiny. So these are the red blood cells. So when they are reaching near the cells, when the red blood cells are reaching near the cells, this oxyhemoglobin, it splits up into oxygen and hemoglobin will be separated. because it is an unstable compound. So when it will reach near the cells, oxygen and hemoglobin splits apart. Oxygen goes to the cells, hemoglobin returns back to pick up more oxygen to the lungs. This is how it works. The red blood cells come to the lungs, hemoglobin absorbs oxygen, becomes oxyhemoglobin, the blood becomes pure. Now this blood with oxyhemoglobin goes around the body. Oxyhemoglobin is an unstable compound, so it splits up. Oxygen is separated from the hemoglobin. Oxygen goes to the cells and hemoglobin returns back to pick up more oxygen. All right, Hiba? Did you understand?
Yes. Sorry, I was writing down.
Okay, so you will see the class recording right after the class. I will give you the class recording. Now we have got only 2 minutes left and we have got white blood cells, okay, and different type of immunity. So we are going to finish it tomorrow. White blood cells and different type of the immunities. It will take one class and then you will see the today you see, do one thing today after this class, you will see the class recording and you will see the exercise which is there in the book. So I think 5-6 questions from the exercise you will be able to do. The rest of the questions when I will finish tomorrow, I will discuss the questions with you. So tomorrow, inshallah, we are going to finish this chapter and we'll discuss the exercise now. How many chapters we have finished? We have finished chapter number 1, cells, 7 features of living organisms, cells, osmosis, diffusion, and active transport. Then we have finished enzymes. That is also the part of the first chapter. Then we have finished digestion, respiration. You have already given the test of digestion and respiration. Today we have almost finished blood circulatory system. Tomorrow, after finishing this thing and after doing the exercise, tomorrow I'm going to start chapter number 2, varieties of living organisms. So you have to be prepared
Okay.
for the chapter number 1, chapter number 2, and this transport system. What chapter it is, I forgot. I think it is chapter number 5, transport system. So these 3 chapters are in the pipeline. So be prepared, do these 3 chapters thoroughly and then give the test maybe next week. All right, Hiba? So less than 1 minute is left.
Yes.
I'm not going to start a new meeting right now. You finish your self-study and then we will inshallah see you tomorrow.
Okay,
Allah
miss.
Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.